You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, some more. On all your sets, not dropping no music. Like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckcaster here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page. We got my man Beastie Combs on tonight, guys, and we got a mediocre show for you guys lined up. We don't want to raise the expectations too high because we have had a 2-week hiatus. Me working 12-hour days, Combs working crazy hours as is. But Beastie, welcome back to the show, man. How you feeling?
Good, man. It's good to be back. Man Hour Nation, what is going on? Belly Up Sports, what is going on, man? Look, it's been a long couple of weeks, but we've got a lot of stuff going on. And I'm excited about what we've got moving forward, for sure.
Yeah, so me and Combs have been talking back and forth here about how to really grow and elevate the Man Hour brand as a whole, right? And you know, we do talk a lot of NFL, and you know, we are very good at it, and we think we are, and so we have decided to kind of specialize in basically a Chicago Bear and a Kansas City Chief, you know, show here, especially during the evening, because obviously Combs is a Bears fan, I am a Chicago fan, and we were going to sprinkle some Cincinnati Bengals in there, but they pissed me off, so get that crap out of here. We aren't going to talk about the Bengals anymore. So yeah, it is going to be Bears and Chiefs, and then of course, you know, we're still going to bring in some major NFL news that is happening. But from now until Combs, August or so, we will be going an hour here at night, starting here about 8:00 p.m. East Coast time every Sunday through Thursday. I mean, I will be here for sure, and then Combs will be there the days that he can, obviously. Except for Monday, I'll be gone because I got a T-ball game. But so hey, we're back, and then surprise, we're taking a night off again. So yeah. But hey, the morning show is still there. We're still there from 6 to 8 East Coast time. So I'll call Combs at 7:15 most days, and we can shoot the shit and make his drive work a little bit faster. So
what's going on, Alpha Rob? I see you in the chat, man. Good to see you back. Hey, look, you know, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Not only that, but Belly Up Sports is really starting to take off, right? And Belly Up Sports has given us some opportunities that we've been working towards since the time we started the show, right? So for right now, I know I am going to be the Chicago Cubs beat writer for Belly Up Sports. Starting on May 3rd will be the first game that I cover.
Next week.
I'll be at Wrigley Field, Cubs versus White Sox. But yeah, I mean, just exciting things. These are all things that we are working towards. It does mean, you know, for the time being, I do have to take a little bit of a step back from the show. But look, all good things, right? Like all good things. We're moving in the direction that we want to move to, and we're getting there together, and that's the exciting part of this.
Yeah, and what is really exciting is that we still get to be live, raw, and uncut, and I can tell you how bad the Buffalo Bills are going to be this season, even though we are going to talk a lot of Chicago Bears and Kansas City Chiefs. So with that being said, though, Combs, I saw some interesting news right before we came on air here. I was trolling through the old Instagrams. When I say troll, I mean I troll on Instagram a lot, and apparently the Miami Dolphins were going to offer a second-round pick to the Buccaneers for Tom Brady and a first-round pick to the Saints for Sean Payton. First things first, a second-round pick for Tom Brady. What in God's green nation were they thinking about smoking when they're saying, "Hey, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, take the second-round pick off of our hands, and we'll get us Tom Brady.
They were hoping that that Tampa Bay didn't know what was going on with Tom Brady behind the scenes. They were hoping they were going to be like, hey, look, he retired. So here's a second round pick for his rights. He's not going to play anyway, right? He's retired now. And so I don't think, oh boy, I don't think that I can't even right now. I don't think that the Miami Dolphins are trying to do this out of the goodness of their heart. I think that they were trying to get Tom Brady. They knew they wanted to go out and get one of the premier head coaches in this league. Right. And I know that they were just trying to make moves.
But a second round pick
wanted. Well, right. But it's for a guy who was at the time was retired. At the time he was retired. So like a second round pick for a guy who's not playing in the league, it sounds like a good deal, right? But
it's Tom freaking Brady.
But for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to their credit, they're like, something's fishy here. So they're like, no. You know, and so look, I don't know what happened. I think a lot of it has to do, the Flores thing kind of nixed everything. Flores came out the same time as Brady. Maybe you think maybe Flores had wind of this as well, and maybe Flores was like, oh, okay, well, let me do this then.
No, I mean, I think the whole Flores thing is stupid. Like, I would like to talk about that. It's because there's been some more evolutions in that sense since you've been gone, right? But basically the whole freaking league knew that Tom Brady wasn't really retiring. Let's just be flat out honest. He just didn't want what's his face as his coach anymore. I forget his name's Arians, right? He just didn't want Bruce Arians as his coach because he's a shithead coach.
I mean, yes, he has a Super Bowl. Retire?
Oh, he definitely forced Bruce. He definitely forced the Buccaneers' hand into say, "Hey, make this happen, or guess what? I'm going to retire."
Yeah, I think Tom Brady did Tom Brady, and I think Tom Brady was like, "Look, I want to play. I still have a couple good years left in me, I believe, as he proved this past season at the age of 45, which is freaking ridiculous. I still believe I have a few good seasons left in me, and I want to play, but I don't want to play for this guy. So I'm either going to get really vocal in the media and ask for a trade, which is not going to look well to your fans and is not going to look well for this organization, or you can let Bruce Arians go or ask him to retire to take a different position within the organization, and we can get a new head coach in here and we'll do our thing. Let's just face it. What they need is somebody who's going to come in and is just going to stand on the sidelines because Tom Brady's going to run that show.
Right. Well, who's their coach right now? It's the linebacker coach that got hired, right? The black guy. What's his name?
Yeah, it was the defensive coordinator, the guy Bowles.
Bowles, yeah. So Todd Bowles obviously has some head coaching experience, but I can't put his name to where he was
Jets.
at. Was it the Jets? Okay, so
terrible.
So that makes me wonder if the whole Flores thing wasn't like the Buffs kind of fluffering the Rooney Rule, like hey, like our black coach didn't get hired, so we're going to promote a black coach.
I think part of it had to. I think you're right. I think part of it had to do with the Flores thing, but on a different level. I think that Todd Bowles has been when he was a head coach, man. Look, granted, it was the Jets. Right. So who knows what Todd Bowles was as a head coach? Because the Jets are just a terribly run organization.
Well, they had Mark Sanchez then, right?
No. Sanchez was after. I'm sorry. Sanchez was before.
Before. Okay.
But it's still just one of those organizations that's just not really run really well. I mean, like I said, top 3 worst organizations in the game is the New York Jets. So maybe what they wanted to do was get a black head coach in there with an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady goes out and wins the Super Bowl, and it's a black head coach. All of a sudden, all bets are off, right? Because now they can say, oh, well, yeah, look, he had a terrible head coaching experience, but look at what he did now. So I do think that there's a little bit of that in there. I think what it runs down to is they didn't need to bring in an offensive guy because Tom Brady's going to run that team.
So let me ask you this cool question. As a retired player, would a first round pick and a second round pick be valuable for said team? So let's say the Miami Dolphins took that first round pick that they were going to offer to Sean Payton, packaged it up and gave it to Tom Brady to the Bucks. Would the Bucks have accepted that deal?
I don't know that the Bucks would have accepted any deal to get rid of Tom Brady. Organizationally, that makes the most sense. I mean, you don't let that guy walk because he's your key to prominence, right? Without instantly. Tom Brady, you're not a Super Bowl contender. Not only that, but a lot of the guys who come back probably walk.
Yeah.
Without Tom Brady, so there's a lot of things that happen for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just by making sure if Tom Brady's going to play, he's going to do it in a Bucs uniform.
Right.
But that being said, if the Miami Dolphins are like, hey, look, we know he's retired, but we're going to give you 3 first-round picks. We're going to give you, we're going to give you Tua, and we're going to give you somebody else, for Tom Brady. I think the Bucs might have to listen to that, right? Because yes, I know it's Tom Brady, but you're getting a quarterback who's believed to be possibly a franchise quarterback. I don't believe that, but there are people around the league that believe Tua can be a franchise quarterback. And you're getting 3 first-round picks to build around. No, Tua's terrible. Tua's terrible, and that's why the Dolphins are trying to get rid of him. Tua's awful.
Because first of all, like I kind of thought, because we've been hearing rumors of this Miami saying that they want Tom Brady for a couple months now, right? Like I feel like it's just kind of brewing in the background there. But when you have a quarterback like Tua that already has a fragile ego anyways by being replaced by Ryan Fitzpatrick many, many times during the season, go take a poop, bud. And then he's like, I gotta poop. Okay, go take a poop, bud. So
just not in the cat's bed.
Yeah, right. So with that being said, like I feel like this is a make or break it year for Tua 100% because he's already been replaced by Ryan Fitzpatrick in game time situations. His new head coach wanted him out for Tom Brady, which who who doesn't, right? But then at the same time, like you are in the AFC East, where quite arguably is probably one of the most winnable divisions from go to first to last or from last to first. Even though our man Alpha Rob says that they're not going to knock off the Bills. Stop.
Hey, Rivers trying to tell you he would give you 4 first-round picks for Tom Brady. Is all Rivers trying to tell you. He's trying to Rivers trying to work a deal with you here.
I'm trying to work a deal with not getting my mixer rocked off the table right now. Right around trip. Cindy needs to get home ASAP. But anyways, the whole reason of tonight's show was to talk about the Chicago Bears, Colmsy. So the draft is 4 days away, right? Thursday is the first night of the draft. The first round is Thursday. It's going to last like 6 hours to draft 32 guys. So we are a Bears and a Chiefs show now. So the Bears have 3 or 4 picks this year. They don't have a pick till Friday. They have 2 picks on Friday. What should they do with those 2 second-round picks?
Man, the first thing I was going to say, when I was making the rundown, I was thinking about it myself, and I'm like, I really want to see offensive linemen. Then I run across the story that Byron Pringle gets arrested, and I got to tell you, I really enjoyed the Bears pickup of Byron Pringle because he's that type of guy, and from watching him in Kansas City, is that he's listed as a really small wide receiver, but he plays big. Like, you can be a small guy and play big, and you can be a big guy and play small, right? Like, Allen Robinson was a big guy who played small. But now we're getting a small guy who plays big, and I was really excited about Byron Pringle. Look, I don't think it's a big deal. He gets arrested. He's on a suspended license. He was doing donuts in a 4-runner or a 4-wheeler or something with his kid in the back seat. I think they were probably just having fun, and some cop was like, oh, yeah, let me piss on this parade. But it's not like he did anything bad. So I don't think that if he does get suspended, it might be like 2 games or something like that, if there's a suspension warranted for this arrest. So for me, for the Bears, what you got to do, I think you've done a good job this offseason already of going out and getting him wide receiver help. I like the addition of Byron Pringle. You still got the pieces in place there. I really want to see some offensive line help. I really want to see some blocking help, especially over at right tackle. Right guard. I need to see something big there. You've got 2 picks within 10 picks of the second round, and I just want to see that you're trying to build around Justin Fields. You're trying to do the things to put Justin Fields in a position to succeed, and you can't go out there and be like, all right, we're going to get another running back, or hey, we're going to get, if you go out and get a wide receiver, I'm okay with that too.
Right.
A wide receiver or some help. I know they're talking about the kid from Ohio State. Can't think of his name right now, but the wide receiver from Ohio State does a tremendous job. And it puts them. I think they're going to try to rekindle that whole thing that you got with Burrows and Jamar Chase, right? And that's, I think, what they want to do. So I think that's probably where they're going to go with it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see them going out there and picking up a defensive tackle or a defensive lineman or even a line. I think your defense, regardless of the fact that the trades that you've made and regardless of the fact that you lose Khalil Mack, I don't want to see them beefing up the defense. I want to see them building around Justin Fields to allow him to succeed over the next 4 years.
So a couple things that you said there. When you lose a player like Mack, don't you think you got to somehow replace that big loss there? Because he had 80 some tackles this past season, 10 sacks. I mean, he was a big increment part of the Bears defensive side of the ball. I mean, yes, the stats do lie on him a little bit because people run away from that side of the ball many times. Mack was a player that could literally shut down entire half of the field. So I would be curious to see how the Bears address that this season. Are they going to switch, are they going to address it in the draft, or do they think they already have the pieces there to replace a player like Mack? So with that being said, I would draft defensive side of the ball in the second round because they do have 2 picks within 10 of each other, with the first one coming pick number 39. So the next one's about 49, 50th pick there. And I like this kid from Old Miss. His name is Sam Williams. This kid, if you watch the tape on him, he is very, very underrated, and he's very, very explosive. And coming from the SEC, he is battle built and he is ready to play some ball. Trains. So
look, I think that the Bears, yes, you lose Khalil Mack, right? But you still got Robert Quinn on the roster right now. They could trade him on draft day too. I wouldn't be surprised to see Robert Quinn go somewhere for a first-round draft pick. I really wouldn't. To see the Bears try to sneak up into that into that first round to try to pick somebody up. I don't know who that is just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. However,
if they move up in the first round, it's going to be for a wide receiver.
Yeah, probably. I mean, well, you could have. I mean, there's some offensive linemen that are there that could be there late in the round. I mean, you're talking about guys like Evan Neal will probably be gone, but you're looking at guys like what's the kid out of Iowa, Tyler Linderbaum. He's one of those guys that I could really see the Bears trading up late in the first round to go get if he's still on the board. I don't know that they would do that necessarily for a wide receiver because I think that the wide receivers you could get in the second round. I believe that Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State or even Chris Olave out of Ohio State will both still be available come the second round. So don't necessarily think you would have to trade up to do that. So I think it's more likely that it would actually be for an offensive lineman. But the Bears defensively, I mean, you still got Roquan Smith. You've still got Robert Quinn. You've still got Eddie Jackson. You've still got Ladarius Mack. You've still got Justin Jones. And they got this kid, Muhammad, who I think is going to take the place of Khalil Mack, and I think he's going to do just fine there, especially running on the opposite side of Robert Quinn, who's going to draw most of the double teams on that defensive line. So I do think that the Bears have the ability to, if they do move Robert Quinn, to trade up into that first round and maybe even get a wide receiver in the first round and a wide receiver in the second round and an offensive lineman in the second round.
Yeah, that would be a great draft. But then I want to flip back to the Byron Pringle thing that you were talking about earlier. Yes, he was arrested for just being a kid, being a male, having fun on an ATV, right? But yeah. Did you know that he is the leading receiver at the at Kansas State University? He has the most catches and the most yards in the college. And there have been some pretty big name receivers come through Kansas State, Combs. We had Tyler Lockett. You know, the Tyler Lockett that's playing for the Seattle Seahawks right now, leading that team in receptions and yards year after year after year. Had Kevin Lockett, his older brother. Okay, dude. Okay, I get it, man. All right. So, and they had Kevin Lockett, just as talented as his brother is, but he's just bigger, faster, and stronger. He was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, and then we had a guy named Darnell McDonald.
Yeah,
he was the key centerpiece of the success in the '90s for the Kansas State. So Byron Pringle is probably the steal of this year's offseason, hands down. You guys sniped him from Kansas City, and that one hurt me a lot because I thought Byron Pringle was starting to come into his own. Like I believe this is his fourth year in the league, maybe fifth year in the league, and it took Jordy Nelson, another Kansas State wide receiver, about 3 or 4 years to come into his own, and I would not be surprised if he's just as good as Jordy is.
Yeah, look, I really like Byron Pringle. The Bears also picked up Equanimeous St. Brown, and that goes along with Darnell Mooney. There's a lot of speed there in the wide receiver, for the Bears. But the way I look at it right now is they have 3 slot receivers. They don't have a number 1 wide receiver. And then when you've got the 2 Ohio State wide receivers out there, and Olave and Garrett Wilson, I mean, if you can go out, what if you went out and got Garrett Wilson? If you traded up into the first round, stole Garrett Wilson somehow, and then were able to get Olave in the second round, and now all of a sudden you got 2 Ohio State players coming back to play with Justin Fields.
I don't like those guys, though.
Well, you know what? It's about making Justin Fields comfortable. So whether or not you like the guys or not, I mean, it's 2 guys that Justin Fields is already comfortable throwing to. I don't know what the route is here because, to be honest with you, I don't know the route that Eberflus is really going here with this team. So it's going to be interesting for me on draft day, to see what happens. Do the Bears trade up into the first round? On the second day, what are we doing there? Like, what is going on with the 39th pick? What are we doing with the 48th pick? Who's still on the board? It's going to be very interesting to me. I don't think that either way. I don't think anything that the Bears could do right now is going to make them any better than what they are right now, to be honest with you. I think that this draft sets you up for next year and the year after as opposed to this year.
Yeah, and there are receivers out there that Justin Fields obviously might like from Ohio State, but I feel they're going to go in the first round. Mid-first round is when those 2 guys are going to go. A receiver that might slide down to your Chicago Bears is a guy from Cincinnati. His name's slipping mine. It's Alec. I think his name. No, it's not Alec. Pierce. This is a big body receiver, and what you said is now the Bears have a bunch of slot. Basically, this Alex can be your Z. He can line up on the outside. He can go get the ball. He is big and fast, and he doesn't have a lot of those big big film on him because he did play in the AAC, which is the best team in or the best team besides Cincinnati was probably Tulsa, right? And Tulsa is basically a really good high school team. So I mean, let's just those guys from Ohio State are going to be gone, and this Alex Pierce guy.
Yeah, I don't think that, for me,
Hey
it's
there,
the, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You froze up on my end. Did I freeze up on your end?
Yeah. It must be a StreamYard
weird.
thing.
Yeah, it's got to
Who
be.
knows what's going on?
But anyway, look, I think that for the Chicago Bears, and when I say they've only got 3 slot receivers, I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing, because I think what the Bears can do is they can go out and they can run an offense with 3 slot guys. I think that they can run an offense through the 3 slot guys plus their tight end. Like, I really believe that they can do a New England Patriots type offense where you don't have to have a number 1 wide receiver. Have 3 guys who can run routes. Have 3 guys who can go get it. Byron Pringle's yards after the catch are absolutely insane. So he doesn't have to run. He doesn't have to be the Tyreek Hill type wide receiver. He doesn't have to be your number 1 wide receiver. He can be a slot guy, and he just has a knack for making people miss. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that they have 3 slot guys.
Also,
I was just making the point that they do have 3 slot guys.
Well, but let's talk about Byron Yak. A lot of those things, because he was on the team, he was would be way down, just slowly jogging across the field with a little dump, and then he has 20 yards of open space to play with. I think he was maybe only targeted 6 or 7 times a game's tops. So I mean, I'd be really curious to see how much he grows this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to allow us to see what Justin Fields is capable of doing. Again, you've got essentially a second rookie season for Justin Fields, right? Because he's got a new head coach, he's got a new offensive coordinator, they're running a new game plan. It's going to be a whole new ball game. So essentially, this is his second, rookie season. So let's see how they gel. Let's see what Justin has. Let's see if the coaching staff is able to put him in a position to succeed, something that the last coaching staff just could not do.
So with that being said, since this is Justin Fields' technically second rookie season, do you think they're going to draft a quarterback by chance this year?
So I've heard this tossed out here in Chicago sports radio, and I can't imagine you waste one of your draft picks this season on a quarterback, especially because you don't know yet what you have in Justin Fields. Like I just said, it's a second rookie season for him. So I don't think you wait, especially where this draft isn't that deep with quarterback talent anyway. And next year's really isn't that deep with quarterback talent either. I think you got about 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and they'll both be gone before the Bears are picking anyway. So it's going to be a matter of next season. Maybe they draft one next year. Maybe they draft one the year after. But you have to see what you have in Justin Fields. I don't believe you put any pressure on Justin Fields heading into the season by going and drafting a quarterback, especially, after you went out and you did make the pickup of Trevor Siemian to add to, having Nick Foles there at sitting on the bench as well. So I don't believe they're going to waste a draft pick on a quarterback, but I have heard it floated out there. I just think it's a stupid idea. Well, so maybe something the Bears would do. Yeah,
but also on the flip side of that, maybe Pools and Eberflus doesn't like Justin Fields. That's why it is out there in the media there. And you do pick up a quarterback like Trevor Siemian. Yes, he hasn't won a lot in the NFL, but he is a good placeholder. And you still do have Nick Foles there on the other side of the coin as well. So I have seen some mock drafts where they're drafting Desmond Ridder in the second round, and could you not draft more of a guy like Justin Fields than Desmond Ridder? Like that would be a complete waste pick on that. So Should they draft a quarterback? Absolutely not, especially considering they only got like 4 or 5 picks this year, anyways.
Especially drafting Desmond Ridder in the second round. I don't see, like, if you're doing that, what you're telling Justin Fields is, look, we're not willing to build around you. We're not willing to put the pieces around you. What we're going to do instead is find somebody who can take your place eventually. And I don't think that that's a message you could send to Justin Fields, especially after what you spent. Whether it was this regime that spent all of that on him or not, you have to give this kid the opportunity to succeed because of the position your franchise is in. And so I don't see them going for a quarterback. I just don't.
So Alpha Rob brings up a point here. He says in today's NFL, it is going to be little pressure on Justin Fields. I think that is completely false. I think in today's NFL, the way we're seeing contracts, way money getting thrown out there, you have rookie contracts to win, and that's about it. Just because if Justin Fields makes it past 5 years in Chicago, he is going to be the next highest paid quarterback. That is just the way it is. Sad but true. So year number 2, he has the most extreme pressure on him just because, like, do you want to waste another 3 years of mediocrity, or do you want to figure out what you have now and then move on?
Yeah, and then look, I think with Justin Fields, I think what you get is a guy who goes out there, and even last year, like, I saw a lot of good things from Justin Fields. Like, the intangibles were there. Now, the play calling was a little suspect. Some of the things he was doing was a little suspect because he was constantly getting hit. But I want to see what he does to develop under a regime that again, develops a game plan for Justin Fields as opposed to trying to develop Justin Fields to the game plan. And I think that, as far as Alpha Rob says, with there being a little pressure on Fields, of course there's pressure on Fields because you know what? He's got the next 4 years to succeed in order to get paid. And if you don't succeed in the next 4 years, they're going to move on. Nobody's really going to want to do much with you. You're not going to get paid. You're going to have to go take some prove-it deals, just like the guy who preceded you, and Mitch Trubisky, has had to do, right? So I hope the Bears got it right. I believe the Bears got it right. If I didn't believe the Bears got it right, his jersey wouldn't be hanging on the wall behind me. Like, that's the nature of the beast, right? Like, I believe the Bears really got it right. Can the Bears act on actually getting something right, though, is the question.
True. So, just a couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, there was a new head coach in Arizona. There was a rookie quarterback in Arizona too, by the name of Josh Rosen, right? A brand new head coach comes into play. They draft their quarterback, the quarterback they want, a guy named Kyler Murray. Where is Josh Rosen now? He's a practice squad player with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bruce Arians is the coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now too. Or no, it wasn't Bruce Arians. It was I forget the guy's name. But either way, it would not surprise me if something like this does happen in Chicago too, because new coaches, new general managers want their guys. And where do you start with your guy? And that is the quarterback. So this is the year that we're going to find out if Justin Fields is the guy for Chicago or not.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I feel like Justin Fields is on that verge, and I think that Justin Fields is that guy. I just need to see him in a position to succeed, and I can't stress that enough. Him last year, Justin Fields last year, and what you saw to Justin Fields last year, and I know a lot of people are down on him because of what they saw out of him. Some of the jump passes he was trying to make, but he was trying to make plays happen with nothing. He had nothing. He had nothing around him. He had no blocking. His wide receiving core was diminished. The run game was non-existent. It was just something that he was trying to force things and make things happen. I don't think he's going to have to do that this year. I hope he's not going to have to do that this year. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see. This might be a season where Bears fans have to be happy with seeing a developing Justin Fields and seeing Justin Fields have a good year in a lot of steps forward but the Bears having a bad year and taking a couple steps back.
Yeah, so let me ask you this question because the draft is officially 4 days away now. What has been the most impressive move for you this offseason for the Chicago Bears?
So two things. One, it's very easy for me to say the trade of Khalil Mack, right? Because Khalil Mack has been injured. Khalil Mack has not been a healthy part of this team for a little while. Now, granted, Khalil Mack's a phenomenal player, phenomenal talent. I hope he does wonders with the Chargers, and I think he will. But for me, it's what they did at wide receiver. Going to get Byron Pringle, going to get Equanimeous St. Brown, to attach to Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, to me, signifies that they're taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah, easily the pickup of Byron Pringle is the best, hands down, as Mama is home. Hi, Mama. But sorry.
Hi, Mama.
So my next question to you here, as Alpha Rob puts a comment up here on the screen, what does this Bears season look like this year? Are they going to compete for a playoff spot in the weak NFC per Alpha Rob?
So the NFC North is really, really bad. I think that the Minnesota Vikings can be the cream of the crop in the NFC North. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to take a huge step back. I mean, losing Equanimeous St. Brown, obviously losing, his name's going to escape me here. Their top wide receiver. I don't know why I can't think of his name right.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. And Aaron Rodgers signing this huge contract at 49 and nobody being able to stay with him to because they can't afford to keep anybody else other than that. So he's got no weapons. He's got no protection. I really think the Packers are going to take a step back. I think the Packers are probably a 7 to 8 win team at best. Can the Bears go out there with their schedule, which isn't exactly as vaunting as it was last year? I mean, their schedule last year was absolutely ridiculous. But hopefully the schedule this year won't be as bad, and we'll have to see what it takes. But I see the Bears as probably a 6 to 7 win team, unless they really blow this draft out of the water, and unless Matt Eberflus and the new offensive coordinator are just the right guys, and all of a sudden this thing just takes off with Justin Fields.
Yeah, unfortunately, with just 5 picks, I don't think they can. I mean, they can draft a perfect draft. They could draft the Mahomes and the Alvin Kamara, right, and like all that, and they're still only going to be a 500 team at best. Unfortunately, just because I don't think they're built to win right now. They are in 100% rebuild mode by trading off Mack and getting these receivers in here. But Alpha Rob does have a point. The NFC is fairly weak. You have 4 or 5 top teams, and then you have the rest, and you still have the Green Bay Packers. You can never count out Aaron Rodgers at least making it to the playoffs, just like you can't count out Tom Brady, right, making it to the playoffs either.
If the Bears make a run, it's going to be a la that 2008 Chicago Bears or 2013 Chicago Bears. It's going to be on the heels of that defense, because that defense is going to have to save them, and the offense might be able to do just enough to win some games. And if they do that, that's when I say they might be able to get up to 9 wins, maybe even 10, and sneak into the playoffs. But I don't see that happening. And again, this year for me, for the Chicago Bears, as a Chicago Bears fan, I'm not watching this season expecting us to win the Super Bowl. I'm watching this season in hopes to see that my franchise quarterback, is making the correct steps and moving forward in his career.
So, like I said, I agree with you. They're probably going to be a 6-7 win team. But if they do make it to the playoffs, i.e. the 2008 team, right, I could see a Super Bowl push in their future just because defense wins championships. And what do you do? And what do you need to excel in the playoffs? You need a stingy defense with a quarterback that isn't going to turn the ball over. And that's how they can make the playoffs. Don't turn the ball over and win a lot of 17-10 10 games, and hopefully the Detroit Lions don't blow up and go 11-12 wins this season.
The Detroit Lions are not going to blow up and go anywhere, but it's the Minnesota Vikings, I think, are the cream of the crop of the division. And then I think the Packers are the question mark. I think we know what the Bears and what the Lions are. I think that the Packers are really the question mark. And if the Packers are what I think that they are, which is a team that's going to really regress this year, I really think that possibly it's possible that the Bears can find a way to sneak in.
Yeah, say the Packers, the only starting receiver that they have from last season is Randall Cobb, and Randall Cobb is a shell of himself 100%. And just before we transition gears here, Alpha Rob says to get to the Super Bowl, just don't play prevent and defense. Man, he is so bitter about that, huh?
Bills fans, man, they can't get over wide right and prevent defense.
Right. We talked a lot about it, a lot about the Chicago Bears off-season moves, draft needs. Let's transition over to the Kansas City Chiefs here. They have acquired 12 picks this year in this year's draft, Combs. They traded off Tyreek Hill. They got 6 picks in return. So they have 2 first-round picks here. What do you think the Chiefs are going to do in the draft, or what do you think they will do?
Yeah, unfortunately for them, I believe that their 2 first-round picks are 29th and 30th.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your snake fantasy draft, right? You get to pick, and then you get to pick again.
Right.
Look, for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think for what they need, obviously, is going to be wide receiver help. Juju Smith-Schuster just doesn't float the needle for me. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't believe he can be a number 1 guy, and I think he proved that in Pittsburgh. I think he was good when Antonio Brown was good, but ever since Antonio Brown's left Pittsburgh, Juju Smith-Schuster hasn't been hardly anything. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, they got out of Green Bay. They essentially just traded wide receivers because Scantling went to Green Bay or to Kansas City, and then Sammy Watkins went over to Green Bay. And then McCole Hardman. These guys don't float the needle for me. I think they really do have to go out and get some wide receiver help. I think they're good on the offensive line. They may need another left guard there for the aging Joe Thuney. Defensively, it's tough. Probably a middle linebacker, I would say, is your biggest need on defense. And your cornerbacks too over there in Kansas City, man. They don't float the needle for me. So middle linebacker, cornerback, and wide receiver are your biggest needs in Kansas City.
Yeah, so and I'm okay with the wide receiver core right now in Kansas City, just because Juju will not be the number 1 receiver over there, because Travis Kelce will be the number 1 receiver over there like he has been the last 3 or 4 seasons. And Combs, you are exactly right. Juju is not a number 1 receiver. He was great when Antonio Brown was there, just because they weren't double teaming him and like all that stuff. So I think Juju will kind of have that resurgent in Kansas City, and we're going to be talking about him as a good, if not great, receiver again. And McCole Hardman, this is a guy that we drafted first in the draft, 2 years ago, and he just never has quite had his shot. Well, this year is his shot to show us, you are just as good as Tyreek Hill is, if not better than Tyreek Hill. So in this year's draft, I think we have to go defense, because the defense is just so freaking bad. I mean, yes, we got Justin Reed in free agency. Honey Badger is still up in the air. We don't know if he's coming back or not. I think we'll find out here pretty soon, here in the next 24 hours. I hope so, because the draft is just 4 days away. And then the couple of defensive players that I absolutely hated, they are finally gone. One is in Miami and one is in New Orleans Saints. So cornerback is definitely a very, very high need. But they do have 12 picks. That is a lot of picks. That is you can literally draft one of every position that you need, and you probably going to miss on like all of them, just because the Chiefs, for some reason, they don't draft great. So I
Let me
want
throw
them
a
to draft.
curveball at you.
Yep.
If there is a quarterback available, do the Kansas City Chiefs need to draft a quarterback? Do the Kansas City Chiefs need to figure out? Because look, I love Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes
Right.
is a great quarterback. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in this league right now. But his passer rating has gone down every year since that 2018 season.
Right.
I mean, he's starting to make a lot more mistakes than we were accustomed to seeing him make in the previous seasons. And he is, I don't know how much longer he can last by needing to be that mobile quarterback. I don't know how much more he can sustain by getting hit. Would you, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, same question you asked me about the Bears, would you consider one of those 2 picks in the first round taking a quarterback if a viable quarterback is available?
You know what? Absolutely. Just because if you look at the Kansas City Chiefs roster right now, who's the backup quarterback, Combs, for the Chiefs? Chad Henne. Chad Henne is older than Tom Brady is, isn't he? Chad Henne has been in the league forever. But yeah, like you are drafting a quarterback knowing damn well this kid will know he will be a backup for 5 or 6 years at least. Now, to counteract what you said about Patrick Mahomes, yes, his passer rating has gone down every year, but also those mistakes that we are seeing, flourish here, like here now, those passes were being completed in 2018, 2019, right? But in the 2020 and 2021 seasons, those passes were being dropped or tipped up by Tyreek Hill or just flat out intercepted, right? So toward the end of last season, probably the last 6 weeks, we saw a brand new Patrick Mahomes. We saw him actually learn how to dissect a team on the other side of the ball. So I think he will get better. He'll get back to what he was his second year in the league, and we will see a much improved MVP caliber quarterback of Patrick Mahomes this year. But yes, I would definitely draft a quarterback knowing that this quarterback is going to be a backup. Never compete for the starting spot.
Did you know that in the quarterback room there is a relation between Kansas City and Chicago in the quarterback room right now for your Kansas City Chiefs? Shane Buechele, his dad, is a former third baseman for the Chicago Cubs, Steve Buechele.
Oh, really? That's
He's actually coaching
cool.
right now for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know who the Shane Buechele is. I don't know if got him in like a free agent draft last year or something.
So
I don't know.
He played at SMU. He was signed as an undrafted free agent.
Yeah. Also, when we look further into the draft, we have to look at the tight end position as well. Travis Kelce is going to turn 33 years old this season. He is from Cincinnati. He is entering his ninth year end like in the league. And he is a big body tight end that takes a beating. Who was another tight end, Combs, that's around 33 years old that takes a lot of beating and has retired twice now in the NFL?
Yeah, but
Rob Gronkowski.
Travis Kelce is a lot more durable than Rob Gronkowski is. You breathe on Gronk and he breaks an ACL.
True.
Like, it's one of those things. I like Gronk. Gronk's one of the greatest tight ends to ever live. I've watched the guy play. Alpha Rob echoes your sentiments. So should you look at trading for or drafting a tight end? Yeah, absolutely. You know why? Because you pay your quarterback so much money, just like in Green Bay, that you're not going to be able to afford Travis Kelce once his contract is up anyway.
So Travis Kelce has 3 years left on his contract, and he'll be 35, 36 years old, and I don't think he'll be playing past that point.
I thought this was his last season on his contract.
I don't know. It might be, but Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are such good boys, and we're seeing how the restructuring of all these contracts are working in the NFL now. Patrick Mahomes will restructure his contract to get a big name receiver. Or
he's actually
Travis
got
Kelce.
4 years left.
Does he?
Yeah, he'll be a free agent in 2026.
Yeah, and then he will probably retire or maybe sign a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
type of thing.
What about a trade? What about a trade for Kelce? See what you can get for him for draft picks.
Absolutely not. He is. You would have to give me 3 or 4 first round picks for him.
You're
You'd have to
out of
give
your
me.
damn mind. You are not getting 3 or 4 first round draft picks. You get that for a quarterback, not a tight end.
So
Are you out of
you
your
are
mind?
okay. So Travis Kelce. Let's look at this logically here. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the NFL right now, right?
No.
Better than
Absolutely
George
not.
Kittle. Better than
Absolutely
Gronk.
not. No.
Who's better than him? CJ.
I would take Kelce. I would take Kittle over Kelce. I would take Gronk over Kelce.
So both players are hurt every other week, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. There's a couple other out there. The kid out of the Rams. I can't remember his name right now. I like him. Higbee.
The Eagles have a good one too. I don't know. I don't know his
Higbee.
name.
I would take Ertz right now over Kelce. I would take all 4 of those guys over Kelce right now.
Why?
Because Kelce to me is one of those guys who thrives on playing in this Kansas City offense. I don't think that Kelce translates to other offense. I think any team right now that picks up Kelce is not getting the same player that they have in Kansas City.
And that's why you wouldn't trade for him. But if you were, just because he thrives so well in Kansas City, I think if you brought a George Kittle over or a Ertz or the guy from the Eagles, they would not thrive the way that Kelce thrives. Just because Kelce is like that nimble fat guy that always seems to fall in the right spot at the right time, and it's just something that you can't explain. But he is always there. And his little step juke, and he's like, "Oh, I'm falling," like sick, and like his 8-foot self, right? Somehow he makes people miss, and I don't think Ertz or George Kittle or what's the guy's name from the Eagles? That's really good. His name.
Are you thinking of Jared Cook? He's not with the Eagles anymore. Are you thinking of Jared Cook?
Maybe I can't remember. But yeah, like either way, like I think Kelce is the best tight end in the league. And I would put him as a top 5 receiver even.
No. See, yeah, I think you're reaching. I think you're hanging on to your Kansas City bias here. Hey, Drew, what's going on? See you in the chat. I appreciate you joining us here.
Of course I'm biased, baby.
But I don't look. Kelce is a top. He's a top 6 tight end in the game right now. But he's not a top wide receiver. I think you're going a little bit too far there.
How about this? Tonight after the show, DM me your top 5 tight ends. I'll make my top 5 tight ends list, and we'll put it on the Sports Trash Talk group, and we'll see who has the better top 5.
All right, I'm in for that. I mean, I could give you my top 5 right now, but I mean,
no, let's keep it a surprise.
Okay,
keep the people guessing.
Perfect. I got you. There's a couple I even left out there. I might even push Kelce to top 10, not top 6.
Knox is good.
You got Knox. You got Kyle Pitts.
I do like Knox, yeah.
You know, Kyle Pitts is out there as well.
What's
so
that dude from fucking Philly? Pissing me off. I can't remember his name.
Dude from Philly. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Like it isn't Ertz, but didn't they draft a tight end a couple years ago? I can't remember.
Hawkins.
It doesn't matter. Philly sucks anyways. They're last in the NFC East.
What about Mark Andrews? Mark Andrews is another one that I think of.
I think that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Baltimore.
With a great quarterback down there.
Yeah. Oh God. That's gonna be a shit show again for them.
Oh yeah, because so I was watching past shows, mixing and matching them up for the Roku TV, right? And we had a segment called
Goddard. They got Goddard.
I can't remember. But anyways, me and you both said that Huntley was better than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And I still stand by that. I still think Huntley is a better passer than Lamar Jackson. I think I think you could win a Super Bowl with Huntley in the next 3 years, and I don't think you could win one with Lamar.
Now, don't take my words and twist them. I still think Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback if they were outside of Baltimore, but Huntley fits the Baltimore system better than Lamar Jackson does.
I don't think Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson is just going to be another one of those unfortunate cases of a guy who's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of speed with his legs, but once the league catches up to him, he's just not that guy. Obviously he went to prison, a little bit different, but Michael Vick. Vick was one of those guys. Once the league started catching up to him,
he was transforming his game though. He was starting to become a pocket passer. And he was dangerous.
He had a can.
Oh yeah.
When he got out of prison, man. When he was, remember what he did? I think, was he a Jet or a Philly in that Monday night game where he
Eagles.
just went off? He was carving everybody up. And from the pocket.
Yeah, 100% right. So I actually had a joke, like a inside joke with me and my pops, because Michael Vick was in jail in Kansas, right? I'm like, hey, the Chiefs could sign him and do a work release, and he could play like the home games, because that was when we had freaking Trent Green, right? Oh man, that was a grand year, right? We went third. I think we went 13-3 that particular season, and got bounced in the first round by the Colts by losing like 40 points in the playoffs. It was great to be a Chiefs fan then. Anyways,
I've got Sunday Night Baseball in the background, and the Philly Fanatic is inside the booth right now, and he brought a birthday cake for one of the announcers whose birthday it is.
Well, at least they're not throwing trash at him. That's a big thing.
How shitty of a situation was that? We were talking about this before the show.
Yeah,
that situation was just terrible.
So I don't know what escalated. So who was the guy that got hit? He ran into the wall and got a concussion, right?
Yeah.
And so the fans were chirping, and then the center fielder Straw jumped the fence and started yelling. I'm like, hey, he's hurt or something, right?
They were cheering, and they were applauding, and they were calling him a pussy and a bitch and all this stuff, and they were going at a guy who was just. He was injured. I mean, the guy went hard after that ball. He smacked his head off of that damn screen that they have on the wall.
It's chain link fence.
Yankees fans sitting out there calling them names. First of all, any one of those idiots in the stands goes out there and does the same thing. They're down for months. They're not going to work tomorrow. But instead, they want to call this guy a professional athlete who can do more with his left pinky than they can in their entire fat bodies. And they want to go out there and they want to start calling him names for being injured. And then for the fans to start throwing stuff at the outfielders, it's just sickening. And you see and this was after a win. So that tells me right there that these Yankee fans, and that's not all Yankee fans. Look, I've been to Yankee Stadium before. Yankee fans actually are a very passionate fan base, but as in with every fan base,
during
you
baseball
get some
season.
idiots. You get some idiots. And I just think that these were those idiots, and you get like 30 or 40 people throwing trash after a win. So you're more worried about the Indians outfielders than your team actually winning the game.
Guardians.
Yeah, sorry, the Guardians. But you're more worried about that than you are about your team who just won the damn game. And that to me is it just shows how sometimes fans can just be so stupid and they just don't understand. Look, just because same thing with the Boston fans. We were talking about this before the game. The Boston fans sitting courtside yelling all sorts of stuff at Kyrie flipping them off. I don't think Kyrie should have gotten suspended. I think Kyrie was showing the same energy that they're showing them. I'm okay with fans talking trash. I'm okay with fans saying, "Oh, you suck," or "you this," or "you that." I mean, I've done it. I've gone to games and I've yelled things at outfielders, but I've never gotten personal with somebody on the field because you know what? Regardless of what I'm there for, regardless of the team that I'm rooting for, regardless of the team that's on the field, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of crap and good fun. I'm not going to go out there and get personal with you. And I'm not going to go out there and do those things to try to bring it to that level. And when fans think that just because they purchase a ticket, that they have the right to go out there and they have the right to say whatever the hell they want. I mean, to me, that says more about the team that is there and their lack of security. And it tells you all the time, every time you go to a sporting event. I know every time I go to a sporting event, I hear all the time, no, you can't be shouting obscenities. You can't be doing stuff to, you know, shouting at players and doing that type of stuff, because you have to keep it at a certain level. And when you don't keep it at that level, it's not okay. It's not okay for you to do those things.
Right. So let's wrap up the show here and transition back.
Angel Hernandez, because Angel Hernandez is a freaking moron behind the plate. He just
we go.
He just called Kyle Schwarber out on 3 strikes that were about 2 feet out of the zone. This guy is a moron and needs to be relieved of his duties as an umpire.
Maybe he needs the LASIK eye surgery like Winston got and consistently becomes a better player, right?
He needs to get put to sleep.
All right, so moving back to the Kansas City Chiefs here, we got a couple more things to talk about. Should the Chiefs be the favorite in the AFC?
No, absolutely not. You haven't seen enough from the Kansas City Chiefs over the last 2 years. So to me, the Buffalo Bills are better right now. The Cincinnati Bengals are better right now.
No.
And not to mention the teams in their own division got infinitely better over this offseason. I mean, the moves in the AFC West, to me, I don't even think that the Chiefs are the favorite in their own division, let alone in the AFC.
Okay. So I see you not even the best team in the AFC West, and I raise you that they have to be the Super Bowl favorites.
What?
Because Combs, let's just face it, they still have the best quarterback in the league. They have the best tight end in the league. They have the second greatest coach in the league as well, and they're going to get Deebo Samuel here in the next 24 hours. So they are going to package a deal for the San Francisco 49ers that they cannot refuse. They have 12 picks this year, Combs, that they can throw to Deebo Samuels or DK Metcalf, whoever they want, and that instantly makes them better, and then they can focus all their draft on the defensive side of the ball, which is horrendous, which they should probably give like 5 draft picks to the Saints to get Sean Payton so he can be like a defensive coordinator or something, because the freaking guy they have now is terrible. I can't even remember his name right now. He pisses me off so freaking much.
The best quarterback in the league belongs to Tampa Bay, because it's Tom Brady. And
we're talking about the AFC. We're not talking about the NFL.
If you want, I'll talk about the AFC alone, and I'll tell you why Patrick Mahomes, to me, he's not better than Josh Allen.
Okay.
I right now I have him slightly ahead of Joe Burrow. I don't have
Joe Burrow had one good year, Combs. So you're already putting him up.
I'll tell you right now, he's not even better than a guy who didn't even play last year, and that's Deshaun Watson.
Jesus.
Yeah, you got nothing to say right there.
Because Deshaun Watson won't even be the starter on his team this year, Combs.
I would put if I'm going in the AFC alone, I would say Patrick Mahomes is the 4th best quarterback. So by what you're saying here, behind Josh Allen, but behind Deshaun Watson, who is the next one? Are you looking at Justin Herbert? Justin Herbert.
Okay. I mean, I think Justin Herbert is definitely a top 5 quarterback in the AFC, hands down. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are probably a 1A and a 1B. But what makes Patrick Mahomes better is our defense doesn't play prevent defense when we're up by 7 and we lose the game. Sorry, Alpha. Beastie, that is a good looking shirt, man. Where'd you get that shirt at?
I got it on manhourradio.com, clicked on the merchandise tab, went on over to Beastie Merch, and got me a t-shirt.
There you go, guys. Get some merch.
Get me a new sticker. I gotta get me a new sticker to put on his new truck I just got too, baby.
There you go. Yeah. Oof. A nice new Ford truck. Combs is making all that big money.
You know what, though? I'm kind of mad at myself because I forgot you worked for Ford, and then you texted me today. I could have got you another $20K off.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, man, let me take this thing back real quick.
Yeah. Well, if it's a 2022 Combs, it probably doesn't have a chip. It doesn't have seat warmers, and the radio will probably go out in a week.
It has the chip, and it has the seat warmers.
I'm just messing with you. All right, guys. So we'll be back Tuesday. Tomorrow night I got T-ball, but we'll be back Tuesday a.m., 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. East Coast time. I'll give Combs a call about 7:15-ish, and then I'll be back on Tuesday night. Combs, are you free Tuesday?
I am.
We'll play it by ear. I'll be here Tuesday night, 7:45 East Coast time. Send us out, Combs.
Man Hour Nation, rise up.